Would the questions be focused on the future? What actions can be taken? We've heard a lot about the state of things. What the questions, please, could address is how will this be changed? What will happen? Okay, so the lady right at the back, could you stand up, please, and really shout out your question? And is it to somebody specific or to the panel?
No, it's a panel question.
And sorry, could you just state your name, please?
Sophia.
Sophia.
My question to the panel is, historically, when told Hustings has no money, recently I've seen very high-spec technology being implemented for the traffic enforcement zones. So if you want to catch someone driving up your road, Hustings has the money to put high-tech cameras in overnight. How many high-tech cameras have we put in overnight? 0. My question to you is, if you could give one thing to this community for free, what would it be and why?
Who would like to go first? Anybody? Yes? You need to stand up.
Of course, fly tipping, rubbish is one of the biggest things. But I think what we need to also focus on is the mental health and the well-being of our society and what we're doing. And so for me personally, what I would do is work on having organizations within different wards that are able to assist those people. Because the thing is, it's about community. Like we'll talk about social anxiety, these kind of things. When we have these things in place, you can now educate these people to now also take care of their environment. Because the thing is, if we now say, okay, we're going to put cameras in this area and cameras in that area, that is good, and we are definitely something that we want to do. But at the same time, if these people are not in a good place to be educated, we'll have the same cycle of the same problems over and over again. So for me personally, and with TTIP, I know put in different organizations that can help the mental well-being of an individual, whether they don't want to live in their flat by themselves, those kind of things, so that at least we can help the well-being of someone's mind and then help educate them in now taking care of their environment or their communities.
I like to focus on domestic violence. When I was mayor of Croydon, I did seminar and workshop and invited a lot of isolated people from different parts of the borough in one place. I provided about 10 different stalls, different services that council provides for their needs. We had key speakers, we had local workers that work with domestic violence, bringing the community together. And I like to resume that in future because that has given a good connection with each other and services, and that should be continued. And our Croydon, at the moment, we have service, and I like to see that it's strengthened and well funded in future.
Thank you.
First thing I will say is Jason Perry has pledged to put fly tipping cameras out in all the hotspots across the borough. The first thing that I would give, if I could give anything for free, is community safety. And it is the one thing that everybody in this room, everybody in this borough, everybody in this country deserves and needs. It is quite vital for me that in order for this borough to have a future, we need community safety.
Thank you.
It's a bit like countdown. If you want to see my answer, I've written it down. I've written down safety and support to the vulnerable. I think that's where what I would like to give to people, and part of it is, like what Councillor Kabir says about violence, the violence reduction unit has to step up, I think. There's little known about it, and it's fairly well funded. Violence and crime stats are going up, and we need to see what they're doing, because I think crime should be dealt with as a public health issue. And but there's a lot of other things that I would give Sophia as well. I think decent housing might help in reducing poverty and inequality. There's lots of things, so sorry, I can't choose one.
Okay,
so many have already been covered that I probably would have picked, but I'd like to see the council working for us. So I'd like to see power devolved to the community, so that instead of council officers like working in central Croydon and not having any connection with us in Thornton Heath, they rarely come here, they don't know the issues, they don't live, most of them don't live here. I'd like them to actually have an office in all the district centres and have council officers working in the community, working with the community.
Somebody over there as well? Yes, and then I'll come to you afterwards, Michael. Yes. So could you state your name? And then...
My name's Alan. I'm a candidate for Northern Park, the Taking Initiative Party. And I do have a couple of issues, if that's okay. I'm going to try and be quick. The first one is that the fact that some of the candidates from some of the other parties didn't turn up is very disappointing, because we've come here to actually get these issues in. To find that they haven't even bothered to turn up makes us feel like, well, how are you actually going to deal with us when if we elected you? It's not important enough for you. We've got at least 7 candidates from the Taking Initiative Party, and 4 of them are from that actual area, and they've been asked to come. 3 of them sit down here doing nothing now. Where they could have had that experience and could have introduced to the public, but these other people have not given them opportunity.
Okay, and then your question?
The question is to the Labour candidate. I think if you said that things are back to normal and everything's okay now, and it's like, it's far from okay. Money that the Labour has missed the borough, saying we still need to pay back. So even when we get another budget, we still need to pay back the old money. So the borough's going to be in trouble for a long, long time, and we certainly need investment. And investors are going to be very sceptical about the borough that keeps on going bankrupt. We went bankrupt with Slough as well last year, 100 million in the hole. So, very disappointed, and I'd like to see a bit more for this area, because we need it.
So,
could I just respond quickly? Yeah, my glass is half full, not half empty. So, positively, we live here, we work here, we service here. So to move on, we can't just find fault. We need to find goodness, we need to find what is working, we need to be positive. To run a council positively, yeah, what it is there, we balance the budget, yes, of course. Now, if we are getting 80% less money for last 10 years, what do you expect? Accountability. Accountability, we have taken accountability from a number of people. That's why they are not standing for election, or they are not working for council. So that is the good thing. And as I said, we can't just shy behind COVID. We need to be. No, I'm answering you to your question. Please, let me finish. I'm telling to the residents that we have to take an extra step to make it normal. We have to think normal, we have to work normal. Now, of course, in every borough there will be some bin collection. Yeah? But that should not be the highlight of the day. It can be rectified. There is a mechanism. You should collect it. There should be a mechanism to report.
I'm going to go back to the rules that I read out at the beginning. Can we please not have interruptions, whether you disagree or not? Obviously, we haven't got much time left. So if we could just very briefly listen, and I want to take other questions from other local people who want to put their questions forward. So if you could wrap up very quickly.
I've wrapped it. All I'm saying is I'm positive. I'm with a team that are thinking positive. We have a leader, mayoral candidate who has scrutinized all the 9 cabinet departments, looked at the problem. We have written the solution. We have conversed the solution, and we are ready to go and put things right. Thank you.
I'm going to take a question. Was it Michael who had a question? You had your hand up sometime back.
West Ham. I think I'd probably address my question to Ben and possibly the independent candidates. The work that you've described in the local community is good and to be applauded, and I'm certainly aware of what you're growing. and Andrea's been doing. But one of the problems that we've had around in Croydon has been fiscal responsibility, and part of that has been to do with party political allegiances. Both funding to the area has been cut because the Tory government didn't want to fund a Labour council, and the Labour council wasn't properly held to account by the large number of Labour councillors. As part of a political party, if Miss London were to get elected to mayor, because we recognise we are not voting for our council leadership here, we're voting for our local councillors and what they'll individually be doing. If Miss London possibly were to get into the mayorship, how can we be assured that you would be holding her properly to account, and the same way that, say, an independent councillors would be free to do?
So I didn't get your name. Michael. It's an amazing question. Number one, we're all accountable to each other. Number two, we're all from the community. And so there's no point putting someone from the community into a mayor candidate role without her actually knowing what the community wants. That's the two most important things. There's no way that I will back somebody if I don't know that she's integral. I think it's the most important thing that we've been learning. Integrity, stopping the corruption that's been happening. Unfortunately, Labour have not been accountable, and also Conservatives have not been accountable. So we now need to be able to find ways in which we can fund all the necessary areas that have lost because of the lack of responsibility from Conservatives or whatever party's been involved. And so backing Farah would definitely be a good choice for us. Why? Because she's within the community. She knows what the issues are. We discuss it all the time. We have regular meetings with neighbourhood watches, with community members all the time. We're in the neighbourhood, we're in the community, so we know what the problems are. So having somebody that's actually actively doing the work within the community even now is better having them in the mayor of Croydon role, or having a councilman within their community, within that council. It's better to have them because they know what's going on. And I can promise you, I know we promise people all the time we'll never fulfill it, but I can promise you integrity. You've seen this from the beginning. We've only spoken the truth. We're doing the work already, and you can see the results that we've been doing so far. So what we're just saying to people is trust the integrity of the person. And I also say as well, check their character. The way that they speak, the way that they behave, the way that they interact with people, how they can be responsible. Character is one of the biggest things that we need in Croydon. People who are responsible, that they can tell the truth, and also keep their books open so that everybody knows what's going in and what's coming out.
Sorry, say
Is
it
that
again.
comment from the independent?
Two independent people, would you like to respond to Michael's question?
I haven't actually seen much public interaction with taking the initiative team working in community projects. So maybe you can spread that around. I think I haven't really seen or heard you working in the community projects in Thornton Heath. So maybe you can maybe fill me in later on that.
Yeah, of course. We've got videos, we've got some things we can show you.
And does far actually live in London, in Croydon?
Yes. Yeah.
So
So,
can
you respond to Michael's question?
Okay, Michael. Sorry, you want to know about
Holding the mayor to account, because they're going to be making the primary decisions.
Okay. Well, part of the issue with the current cabinet, I see, is that the councillors were frightened actually to speak up against the leader. So I think one of my priorities is to hold the Mayor of Croydon, whoever they may be, Croydon Council, councillors, and particularly myself, accountable for decisions affecting the residents of Benjamin and Walden. And I agree with Ben, it's about integrity. And I think when you come to choose a councillor, you've got to ask a few questions. Do they live or work in the Walder area? What's their history of working in and with the community in the past and the present? And Mohammed asked a written question about what makes them different. Why should you vote for them? Don't vote for a party, vote for the individual. And that's the way I see it. Now, I'll hold people to account. If I see anything that's wrong, I'll certainly point it out. My background has been a tax advisor and inspector of taxes. Required me to be honest in everything I did, and there was nothing covered up, so I would follow that through with my council duties.
Thank you, Graham. Andrea?
So obviously, the reason why I decided to become an independent is I've never been a member of a political party, and I just don't agree with politics in local government. I just don't think it works. I think it should be about the community. I think we've seen from Labour in Croydon how badly it works. You know, that the whole whipping system, you can see, you know, how it's been a complete failure. People have to vote for things that they don't necessarily believe in, and you know, as an independent, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't, if I joined a political party, I just wouldn't be able to vote for someone I didn't believe in. I'm standing here for the community. I want to represent the community. I live in the community, and if I was elected, I'm not going to be sat in the town hall or at the end of an email. I'll be walking around the streets, engaging with people. I want to hear what their problems are, like now and in the future.
Thank you. So any more questions from local people who live locally, who would like to ask? This is your chance to speak to the candidates. So I'm going to ask this lady here first. Yes. Name, please.
I'm a local resident of years. I am part of the Open Our Roads campaign. I'd like to know, I know where the stance is with regard to traffic management and to the enforcement of AMPR cameras and fines. Labour have actually started to push out their intentions to increase the number of LTNs that are coming into Croydon Borough, and they are using that as an opportunity to fill a gap in the financial hole they have in their budgets. So when Mr. Kabir is saying that their books are balanced, I'd be very interested to know how that's going to happen. And is that because of the planned implementation of future LTNs? I'm also aware that Richard is very much on board with traffic management, etc. But I'd be really interested to know what the other members have to say about potentially proposed LTN that's going to be brought in to Melford Road, which is local to our community, and what their opinion is, and as to how they think they could either prevent or help local residents
And your
with
question,
that implementation.
And your question is to?
It's to Graham and Chair and to them, please.
Okay. Who's going to go first? We could have brief answers, please, from everybody.
I think we have to find a way of our area being healthier and cutting down on fumes that affect people. We had a case of a young lad that died fairly recently.
Louder, please, sorry.
There was a young child. It's getting late. There was a young lad died, and that I see the LTNs are. I don't like the idea that they're there to catch people and raise money. If they're catching people and raising money, they're not there. They're not fulfilling their purpose, which is to educate people and get people to drive on different roads. But I see the LTNs as pushing the problem onto other routes, and it's becoming more unhealthy for the people that actually live on those routes. So there has to be a balance. I don't think I wouldn't sort of say that they're a bad idea, but they have to be looked at again, because Holmesdale Road, the percentages of people, there was huge numbers of responses that they didn't want them, but they ignored the findings. So I think, from my point of view, it would be something that we would have to go back to and say that it's not quite right, because a consultation wasn't actually a consultation. I don't dislike them, but I don't like the format they're in now, so they would have to be changed for me. And if it was a Melford Road one, then I did see that being mentioned. And Melford Road is a speeding hotspot. Now, it might stop that, but at the same time, is it going to push traffic down Braemar and Strathire Avenue, etc.? So it has to be thought about. And the usual thing is, for me, is that people here have got to make the decision, and their views have to be held properly. I don't like the fact it's there to fill a £20 million gap in the funding. That doesn't sit right with me.
Thank you.
Yes. And so, I mean, when it comes to LTNs, it's very tricky because, I've done a personal survey with the people within West Thornton, and majority of them said they don't want LTNs. Farah's also done, you know, her own survey within the body of Croydon, and a lot of people have said they don't want some, but then the majority are like, yeah, we do. You know, we just need to find a balance and find what is right within each ward, because some of the LTNs are causing more problems than good. So we need to really investigate and say, okay, then what is working for Croydon and what is working for the people? Unfortunately for, you know, LTNs, I believe personally it's causing more damage. I've heard of a case where, you know, the police are trying to get hold of someone, they've gone into the road, the LTN's right in the middle, and the person's gotten away. You know, we have to think about long-term issues, think about bigger situations. With TTIP, and I wrote this down, funny enough, I wrote this down earlier on, and I'll read this out to you. You know, one of the things that Farah said yesterday in the meeting was that her view was to remove the cameras and replace income streams with renewable energy. Which is like solar powered lighting, which is to save the borough 10 million a year. So really, truly, when you get the opportunity to use the funding rather than put LTN, you see that you actually can use the money for bigger and better things. But again, like I said, there is an imbalance in terms of people wanting LTNs or not. But I say that we should go for what the community wants. And if the community says no to LTNs, then we need to get rid of them and then use that money that we would have used for LTNs to help the community and provide a better living circumstances for everybody, not just within West Thornton where I'm based, but within Croydon in general.
Thank you.
So obviously, I understand the reasoning behind the introduction of the LTNs to reduce traffic and pollution. But the way that they were conceived and brought in just didn't work. The consultation was really, really poor, and that's key. We need proper consultation on anything before it's introduced. I think personally, it's a bit of a tax really, and you look at the scheme in Dulwich, which is really residents have opposed it, and it's not, and the Labour Authority there has not listened to them either, and the fines there so far have been £6 million. So we're talking about huge amounts of money being made out of these fines. But there does, obviously, we do need to reduce pollution. You know, the impacts on children is appalling. Obviously, there's that awful case of the young girl in Lewisham who died from asthma, which had been caused by pollution. So we have to tackle these issues. I mean, for me, things like trying to encourage more people to cycle and things like that is really important, but we don't have any cycle lanes. And the council have introduced all the cycle, you know, you see them on the streets, they take up quite a lot of space to put your bikes in, but they're empty. So, you know, there has to be a much more holistic policy. You can't just introduce these things without coming up with like renewable items like Bernard's talking about.
Thank you. So, local residents, yes, the lady there, can you say your name and your question? Sorry, can't hear.
My name is Hannah. I'm a local resident of Thornton Heath. I've lived here for roughly 20 years plus. What I see happening is a general malaise. People are very resigned because historically we've had candidates come up and offer the best of what they will do. And everything that has been offered has been a good solution. Now we're looking for more solutions, and we will come up with more solutions and better solutions. But the problem lies in community buy-in, and not one candidate right now has, well, actually, there has been a candidate that has actually offered a solution that I believe could work, and that's Andrea, where she has said about putting in more local hubs that are accessible for people to actually access in their neighbourhood and talk to people who can actually register the problems as they see it coming up. But I've not heard anything more from anyone to suggest how are you going to get residents to buy in. It's all well and good talking about community solutions if you've got nothing to encourage people to even come out.
So your question
People are resigned about it because of, you know, we've been paying council tax. There's if we choose to not pay a council tax, you can be sure there will be a court fine on that.
So your question,
Anyone on the panel that wants to take it up, because right now you're all touting for my vote. So I want for any of you to make me feel you're the right person to represent me and clean up the streets. Because for the 20 years that I've been here, I've watched the decline, and I just don't think it's a nice environment to live in.
Thank you for your vote. So, anybody want to answer that question? Yes?
I completely understand and resonate with what you're saying. I have personally committed already to bi-weekly council advice surgeries. Jason Perry has committed to a mayoral and cabinet roadshow where he will tour around the borough, listening to people and having open meetings. What I will say is that yes, you're right. If you don't pay your council tax, or you withhold any bit of the council tax, or it's late in any way, shape or form, there is a summons on your doorstep the next morning. They are very, very eager to tell you when you haven't paid, but they are very backwards in coming forwards when it comes to serving you and giving you any kind of advice, any help whatsoever.
So, sorry, can we get to why
Yes, absolutely.
Johanna vote for you?
I'm in the community all the time. Somebody said to me the other week on Facebook, you joined this group in January and you've taken it over. You're there every single day of the week. Yes, I am. I'm available for people to talk to and ask questions. I will be available for people to talk to and ask questions. I think the reason that we've had no buy-in from the community is because it's been the same candidates year in, year out. There has never been an alternative. People think that the only choice for the north of the borough and the only choice for Thornton Heath is Labour. I'm here to prove that that is not the case. I'm here to prove that there is a voice that will stand up for the people of Thornton Heath and actually provide a different view that is still from within the party political system.
Thank you. I think we should have that. So the question to you is why should we vote for you? Yes?
I understand your frustrations. One of the things I would say is it's my first time running for councilman.
Can I just stop you? Not just why should I vote for you? Because if I represent everyone,
Yeah.
how are you going to get engagement? How are you going to get community involvement? How are you, we could have, you win the seat with 2 people voting. Is that going to see change in the area?
Okay, so that's the question then.
No, as I said, I hear your frustration, and like I said at the very beginning, I'm within the community already. I've been doing a lot of work within West Thornton and within Croydon. So like I mentioned, with Trinity Baptist, a few other churches as well, we organise different events for young people for them to come through. I work closely with Anthony King, and when it comes to engagement with community, TTIP are within the community as it is already. And that's the reason why we're encouraging people, because we're at your doorstep, day in, day out, maybe just for canvassing, but just for general conversation. We know what's happening. For the past, I believe for the past month, I've been in and out of West Thornton, speaking with neighbourhood watchers, speaking with community members, asking them what are the problems and what can we do to join hands with you to make this thing a better place. And so that's the reason why we say that, vote for us, because you're not voting for us, you're voting for yourself. Because I hear what your problems are, and my main thing is, okay, what can we do together to tackle the situations? Like what I said in Thornton Heath, I've been around for a while, and there's been evidence of us doing the work that we do. You can Google Ben Ando, you'll see the stuff that we've been doing, and way before I even got into, politics, as they say, because I'm a community person, I'm a people's person. You will see me sitting down with the homeless, you will see me sitting down with people who've been in gangs and who want to come out of it. We are doing the actual dirty work that people don't want to do. Why? Because I believe in reformation. I believe that everybody has a chance. I believe that everybody can change. And I believe that also our communities can change. Thornton Heath can be, and not just Thornton Heath, Croydon can be a place where everybody wants to come to. We must first change the characters of people so that we can now move them forward. So if you want to vote for a change, then vote for us, because you'll be voting for yourself.
Thank
Thank you for your question. I would say that you should vote for me and my colleagues because we are approachable. We are listening to our communities and we are making plans for coming years. I'll give you one example. To combat with antisocial behavior, I was with my local police officer only last week in a park talking about the issue, how to resolve that issue, which has been, by now I'm sure it's resolved. And we spoke about the public space protection order. Now there was a public space protection order which has expired, which comes I think for 3 years. So if our issues are not resolved, we'll do a quick consultation with the community and get their support and ask for a public space protection order. So when you are at Milford Park or in Trumbull Garden or in Grange, you don't have to face people with misbehaving or antisocial behavior because there will be order to protect you. So that's one of the things. Other thing is that being in the community, working in the community, we are representing you. Yes, we are not out of any other place. You are being a part of the community. We are representing you town hall to get the best value for the money, for your money, to give a good service, to give a community trust that they can bring their faith back to a politician because number of people have moved on. Therefore, we are there to take you in a new direction under our current Mayor Balshokros. Thank you.
Next person.
Joanna, I feel your pain because I've lived in Thornton Heath for 25 years and I know how it's changed, and it disappoints me every time that people go to vote that so few people actually vote. I think they've actually been pushed down, that they think nothing will change and they wonder what's the difference between all the candidates. My way of engaging with the community is purely, well not purely, mainly through the things I arrange. In the last month, I think I've had 2 litter picks I've arranged. I go to the community garden every Sunday. I've had 2 events at the pond to do some planting there. I've had a clear up of Norbury Brook as well. Nobody can say that you can't find me in the community. If you want to find me, I'm visible. You know, I live here, and you know, people, if they want something, they can come and ask me. And the thing that someone's, you know, we're basically doing a unique selling point, I think. And I said, when I put my leaflet out, I said, I've been involved in community and environmental matters in Thornton Heath for many years. And unlike the other candidates, my commitment, leadership and hands-on approach has already been recognised with a mayoral civic award. I have no catching up to do in getting to know the area or the problems facing us on a day-to-day basis. I know what the problems are. I live here. When I step out the door, I see the same things as you do and I hear the same problems. I'm here on Thornton Heath, basically, so that's where you'll find me.
Thank you. Andrea?
So I completely understand your disillusionment. I think, you know, over the years, people haven't been listened to, and as a result of that, they've become disenfranchised. So they don't turn up to meetings anymore, they don't engage, because they don't think anything's going to change, and they don't see anything changing. All they see is the same things, and things getting worse and worse. It is obviously, you know, obviously engagement is key, and the only way to do it is to meet people face to face. I don't think, you know, like social media is brilliant, but you know, we need to engage more as people. Like we need to talk more. We need to talk through things. I think, you know, like with the one great thing that came out of trying to save Heath Lodge from being sold was the fact that people actually did turn out and protest. People signed petitions. We had 5,000 people sign a petition. Then at the end of the day, no one listened. The council didn't listen. And that's why I think that you should be looking to vote for people outside the parties, because they failed us. They haven't listened to us. They haven't listened to us for years and years. I feel the same. I felt disillusioned. Like you either like, if you don't like join and try and make things different, then you just give up, don't you? And ultimately think, why am I living here? Why don't I move and go and live somewhere else? Well, I've lived here for 9 years and I feel invested in this community and I really want to change things. I want to improve things, and that's why when I was talking about devolving power from the council to the community, it's because like, why does everything have to be in central Croydon? Like, but you can't see what's going on if you're sat in an office, or I don't even know if they're in the office, probably at home. But, you know, we need to engage more as people. You know, it's also brilliant for our mental health, our well-being, to actually speak more to each other. And I think that's a problem. We've kind of lost that engagement. And people, you know, people are poorer for that, I think. And also, I just feel that if people did engage more, or they saw things change, if we could get one thing changed, one big thing, even a small thing changed, then people would want to engage. Because they'd see something changing. At the moment, we don't see any change, so why should we bother? But I know if I was elected that I'm certainly going to shake things up. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines, and you know, I will make a difference. So you know, hopefully you'll consider me a good choice for a vote.
Thank you.
Barbara. I'm Barbara. A question to everyone. Thornton Heath has got so much to offer. We've got a Premier League football team, we've got a train station that can take you to central London or out to Gatwick. Other areas that have got similar attributes are thriving. What could you bring to get Thornton Heath where it needs to be? Because we should be thriving, we shouldn't be low down like we are, we should be thriving. We've got the assets, they're just not invested in.
Who's it to?
It's to all of them.
Everybody. So very quick
answer.
Yeah, very quick answer, please. Yes, hands up.
It's an amazing question. Obviously, you mentioned about the football team, Crystal Palace. So I have very good connections with Crystal Palace. I'm very good friends with Patrice Evra. So one of the things that I've always said to TTIP and also our community leads is, why don't we get the community involved with different cultures, different festivals, different things that we can do to impart what's happening with sellers. So bringing people together. I used to be part of a group called Connecticut Bloco, so we used to do festivals every year, the Thames festivals, and so I just thought, why don't we do something like that in Thornton Heath? Not even just Thornton Heath, we could do that in West Thornton, we could do that in Sellers, we could do it wherever, but bringing communities together and really celebrate our cultures, different religions, different faith groups, different ethnic groups. Why don't we just bring them all together? Because the Clock Tower has so much history, and so celebrating what Croydon is all about is about bringing people together, and so we have those connections. We've already started doing that anyways. So like I said before, even if they don't vote us in, we're still going to do stuff for the community anyways. And so it's about highlighting what's special about us. I'm always a tasty jerk anyways every Saturday. So, you know, it's about highlighting all these special things that we have, different groups, different ethnic groups. We just organised an event recently called UGCY, so University Gospel Choir, where we invited different universities and gospel choirs all together. They all came to West Thornton, and they had different people coming in from all across the UK, and people are like, wow, like, is this what Croydon's all about? But the thing is that it's because it's not being highlighted, we don't get to see it. So it's about making noise and making people understand that Croydon is actually a special place, but we need to make sure that we come together to do that, and we have the willpower to do so.
Thank you. Who's next? Which candidate would like to go next? Yes?
If I'm re-elected, I will continue to work hard to keep Thornton Heath clean first. Yeah, that's important, because if it's not a clean place, we are giving a wrong message to our children and family and visitors and rest of the world. So clean place. I'll be making sure that we look at planning. We're already having a conversation that we should be building homes where it is needed, where there is space. Already we are overcrowded in north of the borough, so we have to be mindful of that. We have to look at HMO and make sure the HMO team follow up with all the issues that brings up in the community, that brings them. So these are the things. With that, hopefully, I was so happy when about 3 years ago when there was some regeneration money. So if there is any regeneration money coming to Croydon, I like to make sure that we participate and encourage to have some money spent in Thornton Heath and in Benshamana particularly, as their candidate. So that's my approach. Thank you.
Next person? Yes?
Yeah. Firstly, clean the streets up. make sure that it's an inviting place. When you get off the train at Thornton Heath, get rid of the graffiti and fly tipping. Next thing, regeneration. If we bring investment into Croydon, bring investment into Thornton Heath, this community will thrive. I've said it all along since January when I was selected. This community is one of the most close-knit and thriving communities in the borough. There is no reason why, given the regeneration and investment, it will not thrive.
Thank you. Who's next?
I agree, we need some regeneration. I think one of the issues that we step out of the station and we see Ambassador House. Thankfully, there are plans in for that to be regenerated and turned into some residential units, but at the same time, the landlord or owner has actually left it a little late and he's got a 66-year lease left. So there is a bit of arm twisting that might be done that we can get the things that we actually want Ambassador House to hold, like maybe a walk-in medical facility and some commercial units elsewhere. One of the things I would campaign for is fairer funding. I don't think the north of the borough gets enough money. You know, we have a high density of population, we've got poverty, poor housing, and I know I don't want to introduce the north-south divide, but I think we just need more money in the north to actually help us, and obviously whichever mayoral candidate actually wins will be looking at bringing new businesses to the area. And obviously, no, I want to go back to my earlier points. Now, if we have more businesses in, we keep more money. We now keep 100% of our business rates. It doesn't go to the government, we get a fund back. We get 100% of our business rates back. So if we grow the actual tax base, we keep more money. So that's my...
Thank you very much.
So Marianne's covered quite a few points that I was going to say. I think levelling up is key to Thornton Heath and North Croydon as well. But Thornton Heath, I mean, we just need to be more ambitious for our area, and also we need to utilise all the kind of the expertise and experience we have, the amazing musicians who grew up here. There's and footballers as well. There's something about this area that makes people successful. But what happens is they leave because there's nothing to keep them here. And we need to change that. We need to get the investment. I think, Ambassador House is quite key to the regeneration of the High Street. But we need to be working with, the football club. And that's not been done. At the moment, what's happened is nothing. So nothing's happened. There's no engagement. There's no ambition. And for me, what's key is that we've really got to push these things and put Thornton Heath back on the map.
Thank you very much.